All right. So I believe we can start. Kindly confirm in the chat if you can hear me. If you can hear me clearly, please confirm that. Just make sure everything is fine. Okay. All right. So yeah, give me a second. All right. So I think it's much better now. Let me confirm again from the chat because okay, okay, nice. All right, guys. So let's get started. Sorry for the delay. We are going to be covering a couple of areas today. From wireframing, we'll discuss mockups, and we'll also discuss plugins, and I think finally we'll talk about prototyping. Okay, I think maybe we can start with a couple of definitions, a couple of you know um, a couple of things that you should know, right? When you hear people talk about these terminologies, right? Mockups, okay, um, wireframing. What exactly is it? These are things I think you should know. All right. So I'm currently sharing. This is Escali Draw, so we can write some things, and of course you can always come back. Can always come back and watch this video, right? But let's just take a few notes. The first thing I would want to describe here would be wireframing. Okay, so I would want to describe wireframing, and I will try to keep it, as short as I can. Okay, so this is wireframing. Let me increase this. Yep. Okay, so when we say wireframing, um, prototyping, prototyping. Okay, mockup, mockups. Yeah, UI mockups. To be more specific. All right, and we'll also talk about Figma plugins. Figma plugins. So the first one, wireframing. When we say wireframing in design, what we are basically referring to is creating a low fidelity representation of a particular user interface that we are trying to create. So I would give an example. I would go ahead and download like a WhatsApp screen. So let me just get like a WhatsApp chat here. So I would get the image of a WhatsApp chat, something like this. By the way, this is a random image. I'm just going to grab this from the web. Hold on a second. Okay, so let me copy this. I'll paste it here. All right. So this is an image of a WhatsApp chat. Look at it from this angle, right? You work with an organization. You guys are trying to build a new product for a customer. You've discussed with this customer. You've had engagement sessions with this customer, but you are not 100% sure of what this customer is expecting, right? I mean, in most cases, you are not 100% sure. You understand what the customer have described or what the client have described. I mean, your UI team, the designers, they have an idea, or they can picture, what the UI would look like already. But sometimes, even right there in that session that you're having with the customer or the client, you probably just want to, go ahead and come up with something, right? To ask, is this what you mean? Is can something like this work, right? So wireframing can be done, of course, with any tool, any design tool that you're comfortable with. We're going to, do something around wireframing with Figma, but this is just, Escali Draw. That is the name of this tool I'm using here. You can as well go ahead and, just sketch out something, right, on the go. So you can do that and say, oh, okay, this is what I was able to come up with, right? This is what you are expecting. This is probably going to carry like, the user icon. This would carry like maybe the title, right, of that particular application or that particular page. And in this section here, we're going to have our chat area. We will be able to have, the chat coming from, you know, both. Um, I can use the term actors, but let me just say, from both users. If you have two users chatting, right, the first chat appears on this side, the second chat from the sender appears on this side. So you have like the receiver and the sender, and you can also describe that. Oh, in here we're going to have, we're going to have like the. I think this is actually too much. Yeah, we're going to have like the timestamp, the message, and some other information, appear here. This will just be the image of that particular user, right? And then you can have multiple of this based on, of course, based on your description. You're just trying to point out that the chart will be arranged like this, okay? And then you probably have a section here, where the messages can be dropped. So the sender enters the message right here and, sends that message with a send icon or button, right? And then there are options to probably dial that particular user. Okay. So the thing is that you are describing, what the interface would look like. So it's not expected to be, what we call high fidelity, right? So this is just you describing what that would look like to the customer. Sometimes you want to, probably make sure you want to make sure that what you're doing is something that the person can understand, right? The fact that we say you just have to do a sketch, it can be a paper sketch, it must not be on the computer. It can be a paper sketch, but at the end of the day, it's something that when they look at it, I mean, they understand that, oh, this is what you're trying to say, right? This is the picture you're trying to paint here. Oh, I think I understand what you're trying to say. Let me take this to Figma and share another example. So give me a second. And yeah, give me a second. Let me share. Uh, let's see. Okay, give me a second. All right. Okay, so confirm if you can see my screen. Confirm in the chat. I'm sharing my entire screen now. So yeah, let's jump into Figma. So this is Figma right here. If you check out the community, by the way, some of you might complain that this is not very visible again. So let's try to make it visible enough. Right. Okay, so right now, this is Figma, and remember I explained how you can, download these plugins, but we'll come back to this. Inside the community, you can actually search for, wireframing kits, right? So there are some kits you can make use of. So I can search for wireframing. You can be specific as to if you need wireframing kits for mobile or you need wireframing kits for web. Okay, so you can be specific. We have a particular kit here. This I see has about 92. Oh, okay. This is a lot. So let's check this out. I think it's probably one of the highest here. So let's check this out. So I'm going to click on this. I'll say open in Figma. So some of these kits, would help you put things together faster. Okay. Although, as I mentioned, wireframing can just be a sketch on paper. It can be a sketch, on Figma, on FigJam, right? It can be a sketch on, Miro, right? We teach a lot of people how to use Miro. Miro is a tool that we can also use for wireframing. When we discuss Miro later, when we start discussing UX, I'm sure we will also, get to see how it works. So this is the kit um, that we just cloned. So I can go down to buttons, for example. We begin to see some buttons we can just pick up. It's simple, wireframing, right? So it's not doesn't have to be so fancy. We'll go to colors. You see, we have colors. Let's check devices and grids. So you see, we have different devices and different grid items here. We can just pick it up, for our wireframe. Okay, can pick this one for example, and I can just start putting some things in here. What do you need? Probably you need a picture. You need some placeholders. These are placeholders, and I'm sure we should also have placeholders for mobile. I think we can actually use any of them. So these are actually placeholders that you can use. Think about it this way: we are currently discussing with a client, and I can just put in, or I can even use the device right here. So I can pick a device from here. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's copy this. I'm going to create a new, okay, I think I already have one here. So let's paste. Okay, so this is me now moving from old to new interface because I'm currently logged into two accounts. What I'm going to do instead is for the purpose of this session, I think I can do that, right? So this is the new interface of my account. This is what we call layout grid. I know we have explained that before. This is layout grid. I can turn it off, right? I see we have multiple, layout grids in there. What you can do is probably just take that off entirely. But yeah, you can also go ahead and just take off those items. So this is our, um, mobile screen, right? And we can simply come in here to take some of the things we need. So an example might be, yeah, we need a navigation, right? So I can click on this. These are web navigation examples, showing different tabs, buttons, right? So let's see if we have any sample that would work. Okay, this is also web for sidebar. Okay, so let me just take this. Let's use this for our menu, like the menu tabs on our design here. I'm just going to paste it in here, put it at the bottom, to say we probably have multiple, let's say we have home, we have shop, we have profile, just some examples. Of course, you can place your icons here, okay, and that is not necessary for a wireframe, by the way, but you can do that if you want to. This can also be just plain, it can just be lines, right? You don't want to, you're not trying to capture a lot of things. So it depends on, what makes you, fast enough. This is just a wireframe, by the way. We can start taking items from, we can take more items from here, right? We have placeholders. I mentioned that before. So we can simply come here and say, oh, we're trying to do something like, maybe this is meant to be like a gallery app or something, right? So we can say, okay, our user profile is going to be showing somewhere up here. By the way, you can turn this off. Let's see, where is that coming from? Okay, so we can just have some descriptions here. By the way, you can just use a rectangle. Okay, so this is going to contain like the title, then the placeholder I copied, paste that here. Just drop it down a bit. Remember, as you can see, I'm trying to size things properly, but if you turn on the layout grid, sorry, let's turn that again on. So if you turn on this layout grid, it makes it easy for you to uh, manage, like the spacing. Of course, you can create your own layout grid option. We'll discuss that later. But if it disturbs you while you're working, you can take it off. What some people would do is to keep it open, and then they would create what's it called? They would most likely want to sorry. They would most likely want to create like a ruler that would show. They can use a ruler to like measure things just like this, right? Now, either of these options is fine. A lot of people do this. I personally prefer to just work with the layout grid and avoid using the rulers to keep things straight on the page. Yeah. So if you're expecting to have like an image or something, you can put that image there. This is wireframing. If you're expecting to have like probably a description or like a profile information on each of these images, you can also do that and use like lighter shades or darker shades to point out what you are trying to indicate here. So you can have something like this. All right. Okay. So probably want to have like notification icons sitting somewhere here. Now it's also a good idea to say you know while you are while you are putting some of these things, you can also keep some notes, right, to describe what sits here. Okay, so you can also keep some notes to describe what sits here. But the point is, you are just trying to showcase, an idea of what this might eventually look like. Okay, and of course, you can do more of this. So, for example, we can say this is like a social media app, right? You can post an image with some description, maybe like Facebook post or something, right? You can share, but you are able to just capture some of those things without actually, working on the design itself. Okay, right. Let's keep that. Yeah, sorry guys. I think I had some. Yeah, yeah. Sorry about that, Florence. I hope you can hear me now. I'm back. I was the network. Yeah, my network just tripped. So I'm sharing again. Please confirm if you can see my screen now. And I hope you got what I was trying to explain about wireframes. All right. So let me quickly move on to the next. Please drop your questions in the chat if you have any. Right. So what we'll just try to do is to
So hi guys, if you can hear me, apologies. I think Mr. is experiencing some network issues. He should be back shortly on the call. So let's just hold on. Thank you.
Okay, so I think this network is really messing up this evening. Yeah, thank you, Maka. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. Sorry, my net tripped again. I think that's happened twice now, but I'll go ahead and share my screen again. So Florence is asking, is wireframing the same as lo-fi? Yeah, it is the same. Although some people will tell you wireframing is like the skeleton, the bare, the lowest way to describe the idea, and then low fidelity is a different step where you are actually bringing up you're basically bringing up that design, but you haven't added colors or icons, blah blah blah. And then they say the next step will be high fidelity. Now, in my opinion, wireframing is low fidelity, and then we have high fidelity. um yeah, nonetheless, I think it makes sense that you also understand how people see it from different of course, from different views. Okay. Wireframing is when you are sketching this idea, and you're trying to make sense of the idea, right? Putting different objects in different position, just to describe what you have, or yeah, describe what you have in your head, at least the picture, right, of what you're trying to paint in your head. um, and then from there you can simply just move to high fidelity design, where you actually present what you've worked on. Okay. So Florence, yeah, I mean, industry in the industry, you can actually have a lot of people with different opinions, right, coming up with different terms. But keep it in mind that the standard out there is actually the lo-fi, right, low fidelity, and the high fidelity. And then the low fidelity is also seen as the wireframe. Okay. All right, let me go ahead and present again so we can continue. I'll be sharing my entire screen once again. Let me know if you can see my screen. All right. So yeah, that is wireframing, right? You are able to share this with the engineering teams or product owners, right? Okay. Prototyping. Before we get to prototyping, I think one thing you should know first is the high fidelity. Then I would come down to talk about prototyping and UI mockups, right? High fidelity. Okay. So high fidelity is when you've gotten to the point of including your colors, your images, and all that, right? So let's say when you've included your colors, images, you know, um, let's say icons to make the design presentable and look more realistic of an app. Okay, so you're trying to Okay. Sorry. Okay, let me answer some questions before I continue. The network keep throwing me out. I just switched to a different provider, anyways. Yona is asking, what's the importance of converting a frame to a component. What's the importance of converting a frame to a component? Well, if you convert anything to a component, it's because you probably want to be able to reuse. Okay. Yeah, I think some people are complaining on Telegram. It's not your end; it is from my end. Okay. Um, all right. So, Salva, for your question, when you're converting items to a component, you are basically looking at reusability, right? You will be able to reuse it. Okay. So Daniel is asking, can it? Oh, can I take it again? How do I get the size of the image you use for wireframing? Well, the size of the image I use for wireframing, I don't think I get that question, Daniel. Can you ask that again? Yeah, Daniel, you should ask that question again. Okay. Let me go back into Figma. So yeah, let's continue. I was trying to mention that there are plugins, for example, Iconify, that you can use for grabbing some colors, right? We have different plugins, that for taking like images of removing like background from images. We have flat icons. You can download some of these items. You can go to the plugin and widget section here, or you can simply go to the community and search for the icon that you're looking for. Okay. If I click on Iconify, for example, it's going to bring up this dialog, and I can simply search for icons, right? You see, I can search for icons. So for example, I can search for home, and I would get like home icons that I can use for my app, right? You see, we have two pages. We have different types of icons. I can select um, from this set of categories, right? And I can get different types of icons. If I click on this, I can simply say import icon, and that icon will be imported into my design just like this. So I can then go ahead and you know set these items to be together, right? So you see I have the first one. um, Although I want to also share with you, you can get icons from let's say, I think it's flat icons. So that is what I use myself for getting nice icons. So I can search for like home, and I'll get to see different types of icons that I can make use of. Right, it makes sense that you select icons that are similar in your application, right, to maintain that consistency across. Maybe you're looking at the colors, right? You want to maintain that consistency there. um, yeah, so I'm going to use different icons. Let me take icons from here instead. So I'm going to create like a frame that would house my icons, and also specify the size that I want for my icons, right, in terms of the width and the height. So I would go with 32 by 32, just like this, and I can paste. Let me go ahead to paste. Sorry, I made a mistake there. Okay, that is 32. I'm going to come in here, copy SVG. So that would copy the icon, paste it in here. Okay, now that is too big. So I can scale this down. Right. So that is my icon. And drop it in here. Take this off and specify the size. I think maybe that size was probably too much, but let's see, 32. Okay. So for the sake of our example, I think this is fine. Let's set the space we have in between. I'll probably go with 4. And yeah, so now I can duplicate. Okay, so this is the next frame, and then we have the third one. Align distance properly using auto layout, and yeah. So given what I have now, I can simply take this off and replace with this. Ensure that those texts are using color that I can see. All right, so I'll go with 1E, 1E, 1E. And since I'm using auto layout for this, I can simply snap this to the side, expand. Okay, so yeah, change this to auto so it can sit properly like this. And then for the items in here, I just want to make sure that I have like a fixed size for each of them. So I'll probably just go with maybe like 100. Select both items here. Okay. Now for the space you have on the side, you can always adjust it with this, right? So I can adjust it with this 24 or even 16. Oh, that is not 16. Okay, 16. So you can also do that for what you have on the height section here. So let's go with 8. Make sure this is set to hog. All right, let's make that 16 or even more. Okay, so now I can change the icons. So I have home. The next thing I have here is shop and profile. So I can change the text to shop, and I can also change the text here to profile. Okay, so I can go back here and of course get more icons. So let's search for shop. Right, so this is fine. I think it also looks similar to what we have already, but of course remember, I mean, it depends on what you're trying to design. Okay, so let's click on this and use this icon for shop. I'll click on copy svg. Right, so let's go ahead and put that in here. Let's see, did I copy that correctly? Nope. Let's copy again, copy svg. So remember the size of our icons. Just make sure you maintain that size. What we are using here is 32 by 32. So I'll go ahead and set that properly. 32. Let's paste in here and take this off. Let's see. Okay. Probably want to increase the space in there. It's all right. And the last item, the profile. So I would go ahead and simply search for profile. All right. So we have different icons here. We can simply select anyone that works for us, right? So I'll probably just go with this. Let's click on that. On copy svg. So I mean, you can use pngs. I love using svgs just to maintain the quality of that icon when it's exported, right? Because the developers will definitely export this. Okay, so I downloaded that already, and I'll just go ahead and drop it in here, delete the existing one. So now I have standard icons for this. And of course, for this section, I can proceed to put like the user image or something. Let's just go ahead and import one of my images into this design. So I'll click on swap image from here. Go to pictures, people. Let's do people. Marvelous, which is me. Some crazy photos here. I can select one at random. Let's go with this guy. Right, so I have that image. Let's go ahead and put the notification icon we need here. As for the text that should sit here, um, we can probably have just home sitting here for this example, and set the size. Of course, it's good to work with styles. We'll get to discuss that as well. For now, I'm just going to stick to 16 here. Let's have this guy sit right here. Now, sometimes, I mean, it depends on what you're building. If you expect to have like a menu on the side, probably want to have like your hamburger menu sit on this side. Okay, so for now, this is just like a sample app. Notification. Let's get an icon for that. All right, let's work with this guy. Okay. Now there's a plugin for this, right? If you prefer to work with plugins, of course, there's a plugin for this. So just keep that in mind. There's a plugin for this in Figma, and you can also make use of the plugin if that is what you are probably more comfortable with. Okay. So all right, so we have that icon, and then in here, of course, for the for the high fidelity, you probably want to now include your images and be more specific on what should appear here. If it's the description of who posted this, right, which user posted this, then you can include that here. So we can have like Solomon as the person that posted this stuff right here, and also maybe just copy and reuse that image. As for this rectangle card I added here, I can add some border radius, right? And smoothen that, and then probably include some images too. Okay. Now this can be auto layout, and or you can design this component outside and even bring it in here. Maybe you're just trying to show, um, probably news updates that were posted, or updates related to the shop, right? You can actually use this. So let me go ahead and just use a plugin like on Splash, right, to just drop a random image here. Then we'll stop there. At least I believe we've communicated the idea of what high fidelity would look like compared to the wireframe. Okay. I'll just get like food. Yeah, let's just get this is on Splash. Okay, I already installed this plugin, so that is what I'm using right now. So I'm already installed plugin. Let's just grab one image from here. All right, so I'll look at the chat before I move on to the next item there. Let's look at the chat. Um, okay, so please take it again. How do you get? Okay, I was expecting Daniel to resend this message. It's important to add space on the paragraph or headline, if important. What kind of pixels do we use for useful products? Well, I think if I get your question correctly, if you are talking about like the character or the should I say the text size you're using and all that. We'll get to discuss all that later, right? But if that's what you're talking about, mobile and web have some standards depending on the framework you're also using, like the design style. So it's not like there's a specific number that you must always use, or a specific font size or a font face, right? There's no specific one that you must always use. There are actually websites that can help you with these selections, right? So we have like I think font, is it font share or font pair? So I believe we have like font pair, so you can check out font pair. If you're trying to look for like font sizes or select, you're trying to select like um, font, yeah, like a font size on your application, and you need like different sizes depending on the usage. I'm sure you can use a type scale, to basically select like the different size. You can check out different design systems as well, like material design. They show or they give you different standards or different design standards, right? That they would expect you to use if you are trying to use their own pattern. Okay, so I think I was opening this already. Why is it taking time? So this is font pair. Font pair can give you like a combination of the font face that you can make use of, right? So this is sans serif, serif, slab serif, right? So you can scroll down, and they give you like a combination of different font pairs that can work for your application, right? Also, keep it in mind that you need to understand your audience before you think of the font pairing options to use. Okay, if you're building apps for kids, or you're building let's say you're building an app for kids, compared to someone building a particular app for like news, right? News meant for more matured people, adults, and of course teenagers. um you don't want to use fun or funny text styles, right? Yeah, you have to use something that is clean, simple to read and understand, right? For the news website, something that they can relate with, something they're already familiar with, something they are expecting. Um, I also mentioned that if you're following like design systems, like the material design systems, they already have some standards in there that you can learn from and make use of. Okay. Yeah. So you can check it out. You can check it out later. Let's go back to our design. For now, I can just include something here to make this visible. Let's go ahead with the gradient. Okay, just to make this text visible. Um, okay, and even for this, sort of description here, there's a plugin I can simply use. So I think you can check out these plugins and download them. So there's a plugin called Lorem Ipsum. If I want to use like dummy text, at least for now, right? So I can just search for Lorem Ipsum, and I have that plugin. I will load that plugin, and I will simply, um, yeah. So my network is quite messy. I'll simply click on generate, and as you can see, it generates like, yeah, just generates some text for me here. So I can go ahead and set like the font size, the font style. Yeah. So let me also, let's see. Let's see, 16. Why is that? Excuse me. Okay. All right. So if you take a look at this right now, you see we have the wireframe, and now we have a little bit of colors going in here, right? So this is you can put the status section, add more details, more colors, more descriptions, depending on what you're trying to build. What we have been able to do right now is just to replicate what we have here as high fidelity, right? And yeah, I believe that passes the message across. I'll check if you have questions. Drop your questions in the chat. Let's proceed. So I'll jump back into Excalibur, and let's continue. So we've discussed high fidelity and wireframing, or low fidelity. For the prototyping, this is the stage where you begin to connect. Try to create a some level of action, right? You can say, when I'm on the homepage, this is what I want to see. Um, when I'm on the shop page or the profile page, this is what I want to see. So we're going to do something like that right now. Yeah. So right now we're going to assume this is our homepage, and then we're going to have like the shop page and the profile page, and we're going to put in some actions. Right, when it's being clicked on, we should be able to, get to that particular page. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, delete a couple of things from here. I'm going to consider this as the shop page. So let's work on that outside of this. So let's say shop now. So that is the shop page. Let's go ahead and create let's create some product cards, right? Let's just create a product card. So I'm going to simply use this as the product card. We're going to have the product name. Yeah, I'm just going to rush through this, so let's not expect too much. Okay. So we're going to have the product name, the price. Let's reduce this a bit and drop this as well. Yeah. Okay. Let's say price. So we're going to have like the price. So if you remember, we also mentioned, when we were having our previous class, we mentioned how you probably want to, put in like, price and some other information. so that you can create some level of balance on that page. When somebody looks at that card, they should understand the items that are important, the ones that are less important, right? So you can actually apply some of those rules here. For now, we have the price here, but maybe you want to show like some kind of discount, right? So you can say, okay, this is the former price, this is the new price, things like that. It's possible to actually use. We can go ahead and simply use color to show that. Okay, so I can say we have this text look like this, and then we apply like a stroke, right, inside that text. So we can say this was previously this price, but now this is the price, right? And it's possible you also want to show like the discounts, like let's just say 10% discounts. I mean, that's not necessary, but I'm just saying, okay, that's not necessary. Probably want to drop the size of that text. Let's take that to light. Take off the stroke you have there. Okay, and yeah, we just change the color. This is a discount, so probably want to show that, oh, this was an actual discount. We applied this discount on your uh, item. So what I'm going to do here is simply do some grouping. Okay, right. So I'm using auto layout to just select some of these items, just like this. Hold on a second. So one, two. All right. So I'm going to create a frame. So let's just go ahead and create a frame that would hold these items. Okay. All right. So now I have this frame, and in here I'm going to have like the contents. Now this is part of the content. So these guys can literally just sit in here. So maybe you want to put these ones together, just like this, and then you want to set like a padding. That's definitely too much. Let's do 16. Take off this. Okay. All right. Let's apply something to the top as well. Maybe 16 is definitely too much. Let's do 8. Let's do 12 here or 8. All right. So on this side, you can probably include something else. Maybe like the name of the seller, right? So let's say Mama's Kitchen. Of course, you can always make this look better. You can even add icons, maybe icon of the kitchen or something, right? So this section holds price, which is it's a very valuable information. But yeah, let's increase the size we have here, maybe to like 12. Or this is already 12. Let's do 14 for the main item. Add some space. This guy should probably sit in here too. Okay. So that's just showing the discount. Of course, including icons to this would, make it way better, right? Including icons. And then how do you want people to actually purchase this? Is it simply by clicking? Do you want to add like a purchase button, which I don't think is, necessary? But I'm just going to include one here, of course, for the purpose of the design. So let's just go ahead and say purchase meal. Okay. I want this to be, a button. So I want this to fill. Let's also see the height that we have. Keep this as auto. I'll just go ahead and hug this. Yeah, and I can actually create a button out of what I have right now. I would like to set this to like maybe 18 or something. Okay, make sure that the base is hugging. So let's go ahead and click on this guy. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's just apply like a fill. Funny enough, I don't actually know the exact. Maybe I can just pick from this. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to fill the container. Change this to maybe 24 and add like a little bit of border radius there. All right. So this, of course, not the best, but should be able to. So you see, some of these items are no longer like filled, right? So you probably want to make sure that they are properly filled as they should be. Okay. Let's bring this out and make sure that this is okay. Make sure you fill. Okay. All right. So let's just drop one, two. So you see, I'm simply trying to make sure that two items can sit in one place. Of course, that definitely affects some of the size. Yeah, it affects the size of what I have here. But of course, that doesn't matter. This is just an example for now. I'm trying to set the border radius of the image at least at the top, and then I'll just apply like an outline, which is a stroke, just around it, and ensure that that stroke is like 4. PX, reduce the opacity and the size of the outline, do 10 and then 40. Okay, so this is what we have, right? Can be better than this, obviously. So I just want to go ahead and duplicate what I have here, right? If this is made a component better for you, when you make changes to one, it applies on on all, right? So keep that in mind. We'll learn how to work with components, and I'm sure you would, you know, definitely get to enjoy, using components. Okay, all right. So now this is what our design looks like. And as for the spacing in here, we just have to manage this for now. So this is 10 px. Although what we have in here is definitely more than 10. Um, so we can as well increase this if we're not comfortable with 10. Okay, let's go with 16. Okay, so we have the shop, and here we should have profile. What I'm simply going to do, so that we don't get to waste time, I'll just go ahead and duplicate this guy and call this bio, or about user. I think about is fine. All right, so I'm just going to keep it this way. I would go ahead, I would reuse this guy. Let's just delete this one, paste whatever we have here, take off that text, and I'll simply increase this. Just drop it in the center for now. Nothing very special. So I'll just leave it this way, about the user. Add a little bit of yeah. Let's make this bold. Let's also increase the size to 14. Okay, so now this is profile. Okay, so looking at what we have right now, we're trying to now experiment with prototype. So to prototype in Figma, you want to click on this button you see here. But let's first, rename this. So I'm just going to call the name of uh, this uh, this mobile frame. I'm going to call that shop. Let's call this home. Let's call this profile. Okay. So now that we have this, let's go ahead and do some prototyping. So I'm going to click on this guy, and I can double click, select this specific component. At least we know that this should, you know, take us here, home, right? If you have a component, it makes it easy for you to, perform that mapping, the specific page or mapping to another page. So that by the time you move these components around, the mapping will be there automatically. So let's just go ahead and map, shop, right? So if I click on shop, shop should always bring us here. This is the shop. You can set the interaction. How do you want this to be applied? Is it on click? Is it on drag? Is it while you're hovering? Right? We have different options here. Is it after a delay? Right? Let's just stick to on click so that that can be instantaneous once we click on it. The action, this would navigate to, right? It can scroll, right? It can, you can basically use this as a means of adding some sort of, slides, right? Yeah, like effects in terms of how it would move from one page to the other. Let's just focus on the first one, which is navigate to, right? So this is going to navigate to shop, and the animation is happening instantly. You can have additional animations here: move in, move out, push, slide in, slide out, or smart animate. All right. I love to use smart animate, most times if I'm trying to, make this more interesting. But for now, I'll just keep to instant so that we can just move from one place to the other. Let's not, pay so much attention to the animation in the prototyping section here. Okay. So if I click on profile, I want to take this to the profile, right? And now, same would happen when I click on home. When I click on this shop is already on the page. Profile brings me here, right? Of course, home, we're already on the page. Shop takes me here. Profile takes me here. When I click on profile here, it brings me here. Shop is on the page, and home brings me here. So that for the home at this point in time brings me to this screen. Shop brings me to this screen, and profile is this exact page. So if I go ahead and select, these items, I would see, what my mapping, looks like from one page to the other. Okay. Let's just move that to the side here. Yeah. So basically, you can see we have added a little bit of uh, movements, right? And of course, if you preview this, if we decide to preview this, you'll be able to test and see how that would work. I think instead of doing that, let me just go ahead and preview right here, so I don't have to open the full presentation mode. So what I did was I clicked on this drop down and I select preview. Okay. So now you see we have the home. This is the home page, right? That you can see here. If I click on shop, it takes me to shop. If I go back to home, it brings me back to home. If I click on profile, it takes me to profile. So I can move around, right? Profile, shop, home, just like that. So this is basically prototyping. If we choose to add, some effects, especially when we are moving from, one page to the other, you begin to see all that happen on here. Okay. It's already past 9. I don't want to take too much time like I did the last time. I don't think a lot of people were so happy with that. In a different session where we'll get to cover animate, we'll definitely discuss some of these things. Okay. Let me just take a look at what we have here. So this is prototyping, right? Trying to make this our design interactive, so that we'll be able to walk through the design with our clients or with the stakeholders, and they expect what the real thing would look like after the design is completed. Okay. So prototyping, this is basically adding a bit of yeah, not really a bit, right? Adding action to the designs, enabling uh, for presentation, right? Slash walkthrough on what the okay, enabling presentation or walkthrough of the design. Okay, so this is definitely going to mimic the uh, expected, mimic the not functionality, I would say mimic the flow of the expected product. Now, of course, we're speaking to prototyping in design. Okay, so yeah, I've mentioned Figma plugins and how you can install them. Figma plugins will definitely make your workflow faster, and should I say much better, because if you have access to a lot of plugins, definitely for images you have plugins for that, removing backgrounds you have plugins for that, getting gradients, right? So if I had said I did not want to include images, I probably just wanted to use gradient. I have like a gradient tool I can simply make use of here called the cool hue, and as you can see, I can, yeah, let's click on that again. I can literally apply random gradients from here, to fill some of these boxes, right? So yeah, take that off, put back what we have earlier. So, but yeah, the point is, I'm doing this because I have access to, the plugin, right? It makes it easier for me rather than having to create, like the gradient from scratch again. Okay, so yeah, having plugins will definitely make your workflow much faster, in my opinion. Okay. All right. So as for mockups, I would show you what a mockup looks like. A mockup is yeah, something like this. So if you have seen, graphic designers create things like this where they are able to put their design on screens, on stuff like this, right? So you have like these blank spaces where your designs can literally sit on. Uh, you can create mockups of your applications, of your websites, right? And there's a Figma plugin for it as well. You see, we have a Figma plugin. This is mockups.studio. We have so many websites or platforms that you can use for your mockup designs, and this has a desktop application, right? So of course you can just work on your designs and push them into those screens. You have your designs look like this at the end of the day, right? So you can go ahead and download this tool. Some of this, I mean, definitely it's paid, but you have some free alternatives that you can also search for. If you are a good, if you're good with tools like Photoshop, I think it can also make life much easier for you. So you can go ahead and perform or implement this mockup with Photoshop, and then probably move it back to Figma if you need it for designs. But if you're comfortable using this tool, just go ahead, download the Figma plugin, and it works directly, within your Figma environment. Depending on what you're trying to achieve, you might, end up, having to pay for this, because you can see on the pricing page, yeah, it's paid, right? And this is billed per month. So if you're comfortable with that, then of course, it's a good one. If you need maybe additional resources, free resources, you can request for that in the Telegram chat, and I believe people would make some recommendations, right? So that's all. That's all for today's session. If you have questions that were not answered on the call, do well to bring it to the Telegram community, right? Let's see. Just can we get the attendance? Okay, so I think we don't really have a lot of questions. Yeah, if you're having a, you have to probably, yeah, you have to just watch this video again. Okay, you have to watch this video again. Watch this video again for those of you that are probably lost, right? Watch this video again, and I'm sure you will get you'll get to understand what we did, right? Just walking us through from having to create a wireframe to a high fidelity design very fast. Okay, and of course, as I mentioned, this we just rushed through the whole thing. So, yeah, um, If you don't understand this now, you can just come back to this video. I'm sure you'll be able to get clarity by the time you've watched this maybe once or twice. Okay. Thanks a lot, and do have a wonderful evening. Thanks for joining. I'll see you in the next class. Do well to ask those questions that you have on Telegram. Bye for now. Bye.